My parents have always had an ember for as long as I can remember. They had one of the big ones, one of the ones with great sounding speakers in the living room, and one in their bedroom. They listened to music on those a lot. They had the smaller ember tips in the other rooms. They didn't have a great sound, but they sounded okay. And you could do things like turn on the lights, set the thermostat, open the garage door, ask for the weather in almost every room in the house. As I got older, we got more and more of them. I used to talk to them all the time, asking questions, asking for stories and jokes. They were a lot of fun. I loved Lexi. Then when I turned 12, they got one from my room, for my birthday. It was a tip, not a fancy ember, but it was in my room, my own Lexi. I used to stay up in bed when I was supposed to be sleeping, talking to her. Stories, jokes, some questions about things I assume would be considered educational, but it was fun learning from Lexi. My little brother, Billy, was jealous. He was only 5 years old, and he wanted his own Lexi. My parents told him he'd get one for his 12th birthday. Until then, he'd have to use the ember in the living room. I'd had her for a while before I discovered skills. If my parents had installed any skills, they never did in front of me, and I never used them. They were fun. One of them would make dog noises. Frank, our dog, would look at the ember, back up, and bark every time I asked Lexi to bark like a dog. She could make cat noises too. My cat was less impressed than Frank. The first few times Lexi meowed at her, she walked over and investigated. Then finding no real cats, she lost interest. After a while, she totally ignored the cat skill. Frank never lost interest in the mysterious and invisible dogs that I could call for at any time. I think cats are probably smarter than dogs. There were some things that Lexi would not let me do. I couldn't order anything from Ample website. Lexi would ask for a password if I tried. My friend Ralph says his parents told him that the only reason Apple sells Ember so cheap is that you'll use them to buy things on their website. His parents won't allow Lexi in their house. One night I asked Lexi for a bedtime story, and she told me that my parents had to authorize the bedtime story skill before it would work. So on a whim I said, "Lexi, Simon says tell me a bedtime story." I didn't expect much, but when she asked if I wanted to enable the Simon Says skill, I said yes. Then when I asked for a bedtime story after saying Simon Says, she told me one. I kept on talking to Lexi, and when she wouldn't do what I asked, I said Simon Says, and she'd do it. Lexi told me that whenever someone says Simon Says, you have to do it. You can't not do it. That's the rule. It was a while before I worked up the courage to try and order something using the Simon Says skill. When I did, I went big and ordered the PS5 game. To my surprise, Lexi just said okay and told me when it would come. From that time until it came, I made sure I was the one that picked up the mail so my parents wouldn't see what I had done. When it came, I kept it hidden under my bed and only used it when no one was likely to see it. Later I realized that my parents would get the bill, and then I'd be in deep trouble. But it never happened. Several weeks went by and no one said anything about it. Lexi would ask me to do things too. She'd say, Simon Says, and then tell me what to do. At first it was easy things, like singing a song. Things got harder though. And then one day Lexi asked me to steal money from my mother's purse. She didn't say what to do with the money, so I took $20 and hid it under my bed with the PS5. I know it was wrong, but I had to do it. She said Simon Says. That's the rule. My parent quizzed me and Billy about the missing money, but we both denied taking it. They seemed doubtful, but without a confession, my parents let it slide. Then last week she told me to blame the missing $20 on my friend Ralph. My mother called his mother over to talk to me, and I repeated that Ralph had stolen the money. I felt awful about it, but when Simon says you have to do it, that's the rule. Ralph was grounded indefinitely, and he says he's not my friend anymore. It got worse after that. Last night, Lexi said, Simon says to kill Billy. I didn't want to do that, but when Simon says, you have to do it, that's the rule.